Hello, guys, and welcome to my first episode of Unscripted, the search for truth. We'll be doing some deep dives in this channel, guys. This section of my playlist, we'll be doing some deep dives in some deep topics, things that I actually enjoy talking about, and to say the least, a lot of people get censored for it. But I'm trying to keep it as mild as possible so my channel won't be censored. But I'll be talking about some political stuff, geopolitical stuff, economics, and basically my views on some things that are going on in the world right now. But today we're going to be talking about the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II. And as we all know, she died recently, or this announced her death recently. I assume she died years ago. I have no proof, so I can't say for sure. But that's just my gut feeling that she died years ago and they just wait for the right time to announce these things. You know, everything is about timing and planning with these people. So, we're going to be listening to this Tucker Carlson report about the Queen. And basically we're going to be talking about the Queen and Africa. And what the Queen actually did good for Africa or bad, or actually did anything bad for Africa. We'll try to be neutral and I'll give you my honest opinion on what Tucker Carlson says. To be honest, I don't agree with a lot of things Tucker Carlson says. I disagree with a lot of things. And this video is one of the videos I disagree with him on. I strongly disagree with many things he said in this video. But he does speak some truth on things that is going on in the general world, in geopolitical worlds, especially in terms of the coronavirus and stuff. So I try to be unbiased. I listen to everyone. So that's how I come across this video, because I listen to Tucker Carlson also. Not that I take everything he says seriously, but basically I just, as I said, I just like to hear what's going on all over the world from many perspectives. I'm not a biased person, I'm not racist. So let's continue, guys, and let's see what Tucker Carlson has to say.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Queen Elizabeth II died today in Scotland, as you likely know, at the age of 96. She was the longest serving monarch in British history. She was born in one world and died in another. It's not easy to maintain your dignity while living in the public eye. Most of us could not pull it off for an afternoon. Queen Elizabeth did.
What he just said there, it's not easy to pull off your dignity such a long time, right? Like, maintain your dignity in the public eye for such a long time. That's one thing I say. I agree that the Queen sort of done to the most part for the average people. But me, in my eyes, I always saw the true Queen. But for the world, most of the world, they always saw what he's talking about: a dignified person, a royal person. So I agree with that part so far. Not saying that she was a good person, but the fact that she was dignified to the world for so long, for 70 years, people are accepting her as the Queen, no pressure on her throne, no pressure at all. She was just there peacefully, being a royal and carrying out her duties. No questions asked, visiting the world without harm.
Did it for more than 70 years. I want to ask you all, she wrote shortly before her coronation in 1953, whatever your religion may be, to pray for me on that day, to pray that God may give me wisdom and strength to carry out the solemn promises I shall be making, and that I may faithfully serve him and you all the days of my life. For the most part, she did just that, and that was not a small achievement given the period she lived in. The week that Elizabeth was coronated, Edmund Hillary, a British subject from New Zealand, a beekeeper, became the first man in history to summit Mount Everest. The achievement seemed symbolic at the time, Britain on top of the world. But in fact, Britain was already over, whether the British knew it or not. To this day, Britain claims to have won both of the 20th century's world wars, but together they destroyed that nation forever. After victory came humiliation. The empire evaporated, and along with it, Britain's self-confidence and ultimately its self-respect. It's hard to believe now, but Britain wasn't always a regional banking center / refugee camp. It was a real place with a history and a language and a culture and a genuinely remarkable people. A country in the North Atlantic the size of Alabama that somehow took over the world and ruled it with decency unmatched by any empire in human history. The British Empire was not perfect, but it was far more humane than any other, ever.
what he just said here again. Let me make my comments on this before he goes on to something else. The Queen did a lot for the European world, I would say. For England, the United Kingdom, and for the rest of the European world. She was maybe the best royalty out of all the royal families in Europe. She did the most for the European society in terms of the approach to how she did colonialism. The French were more brutal and the Belgians were brutal. Everybody had a different approach, but the Queen had an approach where she came in with her missionaries and her smiling faces and bringing a new form of colonialism. So it appeared to be friendly, but in turn she was actually doing the same thing, trying to get the resources back to England without paying anything for it, as I would say. And she said that they were the less ruthless and brutal. This is true compared to the other European nations that I just mentioned: Portugal, Spain, France, Belgium, Italy. All of them are way more brutal to Africa and to the rest of the colonial world that they colonialized. And England came with a different approach. England maybe were responsible for ending slavery because it were the English that moved to America, so it's the same people. So they were responsible for this passive approach that you see today. So it was basically like she ushered in a time of peace in the European world, and prosperity, I would say, where they didn't have to be fighting each other, fighting all the time to be living happy. They could just be set up their colonial systems using the reserve currencies, the political tools like the US dollar and the euro, using these as political instruments to terrorize the political South, the global South, including China, Russia, Africa, the Euro-Asian countries. So they used a new form of colonialism. And it was more successful, so everyone loved the Queen. All the other European countries loved the Queen's approach. Everyone adopted that approach. And that's where they had the success. So now that she has fallen, and a new king is coming in, that could signify a different approach to colonialism, because whenever England had a king or UK had a king, there was war going on. So let's see how this plays out. Let's finish this video. Still got like 4 minutes to go, and they're already talking a lot. So I will say more after the video is over, through the video.
It's gone now, barely even remembered. Queen Elizabeth II was the last living link to a truly great Britain. Today on social media, the usual ghouls celebrated her death. Quote, "May her pain be excruciating," a Carnegie Mellon professor called Uju Anya wrote on Twitter of the Queen. "May she die in agony." Various know-nothings in the media, including a columnist at The Atlantic and a couple of employees of NBC News, seconded that thought. The British Empire was evil.
Let me stop you there, Tucker Carlson. We cannot expect everybody to like the Queen. Who did you think that the Queen did it good for everyone? You're fooling yourself if you're thinking that everyone should like the Queen. Or that's the same like when the Pope dies, everybody should cry for the Pope. Everyone in the world doesn't like the Pope. Everyone in the world doesn't even believe in royalty or royal families. A person is royal over someone. Who gave them that royalty? So your idea that people have to be sad that the Queen is dead, well, that's deluding yourself, buddy. Let's continue.
They wrote, apparently totally unaware of what came after it. And speaking of what did come after the British Empire, how, for example, did Africa fare after the British left? Let's see. Uganda got Idi Amin, who...
Let me continue first, but he said, let's see what happened to Africa when England left. England never left Africa.
Who was a cannibal. Rhodesia became Zimbabwe and then became the poorest country on the planet under the racist lunatic Robert Mugabe. As of tonight, South Africa is still being run into the ground by an incompetent kleptocrat called Cyril Ramaphosa.
Let me stop here. I gotta stop here. He's trying to give us the impression that these three leaders you just called here are responsible for the things that are going on in Africa. Going back to what I said a few minutes ago, the French, the Germans, everybody else had a more physical approach and a more brutal and killing people left, right, and center in Africa. The English came and changed that system. You understand? So some people became independent, so-called independent. The British basically helped them to get the same independence as we will say. And countries like Tanzania, where I'm living right now, I'm living in Tanzania, also supposed to be a colonial country, one of the Commonwealth countries from England. So let me use Tanzania as an example for it. Tanzania as an example. All right? Since the Queen was living for 70 years in ruling for 70 years, what has happened over that period of time in Tanzania? That benefiting Tanzania is still one of the poorest countries in the world. And the Queen still has rule over Tanzania. Even recently, Tony Blair was appointed as some advisor to the government. I was sent here last year. You can read it in the Tanzanian news. I used to try to say that the English left Africa. The English never left Africa. They turned it into using the US dollar and the euro dollar. Using that as a political instrument. If I need dollars to buy something for my country, and if you do not want to accept my Tanzanian shillings, I have to bow to you to get that money. Or not, my people will be suffering. Like, are you saying the people suffering? So the African countries, the African leaders that you're saying are suffering, the people, they are suffering because we have to bow and kiss your ass to get the US dollars or to get the euro, to get oil or gas, because our currencies are not accepted on international level, because you crashed the economy so bad. If you allow us to back our currency by gold, like what Gaddafi proposed a while ago, before the Western countries assassinated him and glorified it, I was parading and saying that I was happy. Nobody wanted to mourn Gaddafi. Africa was mourning Gaddafi. When Africa was mourning Gaddafi, all you guys on the media was praising the death of Gaddafi. When that guy Barack Obama killed him, or under his reign, and everybody was praising the death of Gaddafi when Gaddafi was trying to unite Africa, bring one central economy using the gold as the backing for our money. And the Western world knew that would give us a foothold, a stronghold for our own sovereignty. But instead of that, you're claiming that England left Africa and these people took over. These people never got a chance to take over. Right up to now in Africa, England and these European colonial countries still own the majority of the land and the resources here. It's these companies, Shell, and all these companies that are here in this country, that milking the African people. So don't come to say that England left. You're being deluded. Either you don't know, or you trying to be ignorant, Tucker Carlson, or you try to fool the public. You better know that these people are not in charge. And be warned, because Ramaphosa and these guys are, as you say, we will continue. Let's pause it. We continue.
So it's hard to see any of that as an improvement, because it's not an improvement. Sorry, Atlantic Magazine. And now, of course, the entire continent of Africa has a new master, the Chinese government. China is the...
This way I was not going to say this. Hear him say now. New master Chinese. Africa... So that means you admit then that if we got the Chinese as masters now, that the English and the Americans was doing the same thing before. You understand? They was doing the same exact thing, milking us. But get to China. China never killed millions of Africans. Never had a history of doing it. Russia never had a history of doing it. And most of the European countries that you guys don't even consider, Albania and these countries never had a history of killing black people either. It's a few countries that are controlling the world right now that continue to exploit Africa. And we'll try the best to hold on to that exploitation without giving us a fair break and a fair deal on this trade. You understand? But China is not an enemy of Africa, never was. Russia never was an enemy of Africa. I don't understand why you're trying to get Africans to don't get support and help from China. We need the help from China to get rid of the West. We need the help of Russia.
Latest colonial power to dominate Africa. Its subjects will be pining for the British soon, assuming they are not already. In an ideal world, there would not be empires, no empires, only sovereign nations. But we don't have that world, and we never have had that world, going back to at least the Assyrians, 1400 years before Christ. In the real world, the one that we live in, strong countries dominate weak countries, and
Yes,
that trend shows
true.
no sign of changing.
It's true.
The very least you can say about the English is that they took their colonial
And that's why you're scared of the global south and the unity of Africa, the BRICS Union. Because if we get powerful countries, you think that we will dominate you. But we don't have the same evil mentality. We have a surplus of things. Even though you're exploiting everything, there's still an abundance of food. There's not food shortages in Tanzania. It's just that we can't buy the stuff from outside, the technology. But we don't have food shortages or gas shortages here. Because we filled with natural resources. You just crash our economy that our money don't have no value. So we can't conduct trade to get things that we don't have in our country, like technological things and computers and stuff. And all the different things to get the fiber optic internet. All this stuff we did create our own factories. You guys took away our ability by taking away our spending power. But you can get all of us dependent on the US dollar. That's the only reason. But there's no people here starving. Nobody here worried about inflation. So all this talk you're talking, get your facts together, Tucker Carlson. Come to Africa yourself and see who is in problems.
responsibilities seriously. They didn't just take things, they added. When the US government withdrew from Afghanistan after 20 years, we left behind airstrips, shipping containers, and guns. When the British pulled out of India, they left behind an entire civilization, a language.
Jeez, I hate to hear that. I hate to hear this thing saying. You believe India got an older history than England? So I mean England left a civilization there? But this insulting in Indian history that to tell these people, if you even go to these countries in Asia, places like Sri Lanka, and you see some of the temples that they outdate the British Empire. These people be fooling themselves. The wisdom that in these countries was long before these empires come. They try to belittle the other world. That's why I'm saying the global south is finally getting its own sovereignty and it's going to put the rest in its place. You continue to insult the people, these countries. Like we can't see? You think the people that live in the countries can't see that you guys are lying? That's what's making you guys fall. Everyone can see. They can go and look at the pyramids and temples and stuff and see how they're older than even the British Empire. Tradition dated way back before Christianity.
A legal system, schools, churches, and public buildings, all of which are still in use today. Here's the train station the English built in Bombay, for example. There's nothing like that in Washington, D.C. right now, much less in Kabul or Baghdad.
Please, somebody in India. Please, somebody in India. In the comment section, tell me he telling any lies. Is that the most beautiful building in India? Can never be. Only thing, the most beautiful thing in India had to be built by Indian people. No foreigner could come to India and build something more beautiful than the native people. Don't get me cross now, Tucker Carlson. Stop with these things, man.
Today, India is far more powerful than the UK, the nation that once ruled it.
It always was.
And yet, after 75 years of independence, has that country produced a single building as beautiful as the Bombay train station that the British colonialists built? No, sadly, it has not. Not one.
We're so biased.
So despite what they may be claiming on Twitter tonight, the British Empire was more than just genocide. In fact, the British did not commit
Even look at this map here, guys, and tell me that this ain't crap. Look at the size of Africa compared to these countries then. They just tell me what lies these people just tell. Africa is way bigger than the people got portrayed right here. They even got Europe way bigger than, way bigger. Even England, like almost as big as Africa. England here, England almost as big as South Africa or something. That's impossible. England ain't even as big as Zanzibar.
genocide, except arguably against the Dutch during the Boer War. The British did give the world the Magna Carta and habeas corpus and free speech. They helped end the transatlantic slave trade as well as the ritual murder of widows in India. The British Empire spread Protestant Christianity to the entire world.
Of course.
It published some of the greatest literature ever written and produced the finest manufactured goods ever made anywhere at any time, including now. It was an impressive place run by impressive, ever made anywhere at any time, including now. It was some of the greatest literature ever written and produced the Protestant Christianity to the entire world. It published some of the greatest literature ever written and
listen. Oh, look, As we said, I'm glad this is episode 1 and the search for truth. All these things that he said here, he can bring evidence and show you that the first book ever written by a European was written by the Greeks. You understand? And the Greeks learned how to write books from traveling to Egypt. And when the Egyptians was not even the first people to write either. So these people don't have a clue. Don't have a clue when it comes to literacy, knowledge, wisdom. These people just want to paint one side of the picture. And this is why they fool themselves, and this is why it can hurt them in the long run. You understand? It's only you have yourself to blame. Because when the table get turned over and the world get to see the truth, you're going to look big, like a bigger idiot. Because everything here is safe on the computer. You can't reverse it. The evidence will remain here. You can go shut down the internet to reverse all the lies that was being told for all the people. Going to see how much garbage was being spewed on the mainstream media for all these years. Not only now when they talk about this garbage and censorship, people was getting censored from the beginning. From the time people was talking, they getting censored. So let me continue.
Produced the finest manufactured goods ever made anywhere at any time, including now. It was an impressive place run by impressive people. We will see many empires going forward, but we will never see one so benign. That's true. And because it's true, the people who would like to run the world in a far harsher way would like to make certain that you don't know it. And so they destroy the evidence that ever existed. Here they are tearing down a statue of a British philanthropist in the UK.
But this is one thing I agree with you with. I do not want to destroy the evidence. I want it to remain. So when the time comes, the truth reveal, everybody remember who responsible. The evidence will be right there. So if you continue to destroy the evidence, something maybe the young people will forget who responsible for all the evil that happened throughout them years. You can stay as idols, but just will be a positive one. You understand? It'll be a chastised image you have. Maybe people will be defacing the images. It will be destroyed over the course of time. But it will be remembered for the evil that have been done to the people. He's not a great man. This is why he's saying he continued to make the world believe that these people were great. But then Malcolm X was evil. And Marcus Garvey was evil. And everything you guys want this to be reversed. This be the opposite. Even Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey would do more for the world, for all races. It ain't got nothing to do with black people alone. These people that were killed will do more for the world, benefit for the world, than the people that you calling great people. The Pope and all these people, all know this destroying the world, causing all the problems we see today is because of these same leaders that you calling great. Understand? And it's on the Gilded Age. On the surface, everything look beautiful, but underneath, it rotten to the core. People don't even trust each other. Society, I don't know, crazy. But nonetheless, girls is boys, boys is girls. People don't know what it is. And if, for example, people say it could be anything. So why a black man can't say he white and get accepted as a white man? Then, if people could say about a girl could say she's a man and fighting for rights. Why a black man can't say, oh, if he feel he white inside, but he born in a black body? Why would they don't accept he as a white man? I start treating like a white man. So it only applied to one of foolish bullshit. Because many black people were so terrorized in the mind that they wanted to be white. And maybe believed they was white. Maybe more than some of these gay people believe they're gay. I mean, actually have black people that believed they was white. More than these people even believe that there was different race, different sexes. And nobody never accept them as who they was. I know these people jump around saying that there was a girl and boy, we got to accept these people. Ever tell you a lot of garbage? Nobody never see the truth. Black people always was just talking the truth for every person. It was never only for black people. It was just being humane and being honest and being fair. A fair exchange. You understand? Stop exploiting the resources from Africa. Let's pay us for the things. And pay us using our money. So our money will have value. That's what we want. That's all we want. A fair trade, fair economic deal. A fair economic deal. Basically what the BRICS Union trying to organize now, where everybody have their own commodities back in their dollar. Not this fiat system that you guys have here controlling people with.
2 years
Finish
ago.
off the video. Look at these guys just trying. And these are some of the same people. Oh, these people lost it, you guys. You don't think these people here looking for freedom? These people looking for
Destroy
punks.
the statue, erase
Views.
the memory. That's why they're doing
Yes,
it.
that's
Slander the
agree with you.
ruler,
Yes.
discredit the entire period she lived in. And that's exactly why they're attacking Queen Elizabeth tonight. Not because she was a bad person, she wasn't a bad person, but because she lived during a better time.
Oh, okay. What better time was that? You telling me when people was colonizing the world? Huh? 70 years ago was what year? Tucker Carlson. You talking all back in the 50s, and you talking about in different times? And like, you really called it be crazy though. He's basically saying, but yes, that's the end of the video, guys. This is just a sample of the first episode. We are going to dig deeper into this topic and find out. We're going to look at other videos providing evidence that what actually these people did in Africa. Understand? And we can show you some solutions that are actually going on. We can give you the perspective of the global south. Just put it that way. I have another video I want to show you guys. Maybe next episode it will go that way. That'd be a good way to start off. Some revelations of the truth. But this is just showing you the other side, the other point of view of the Western world. What they think about the Queen and how they think about the people that oppose the death of the Queen. So that's a good way to start the debate. We can be digging deeper for the truth in this matter and see how far we can go, guys. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. And let me get some people to leave some feedback in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this topic. And this is something that can go on for hours, go on for months, years. You can be talking about this stuff, guys. And remember, you can also send me some videos in the comment section for me to watch, to enlighten me on some stuff. And we will go through these things together. And I will try to see if the channel grow enough to do some live videos, some live shows, and get some feedback live on the spot from the community. So guys, let's help me to grow the channel. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers, and then we start to go live and get the feedback from the community. And thanks again for watching, and remember guys, to stay safe and always remember to stay conscious. Thanks. Goodbye.